Hello world. When I was 20, I visited Japan for the first time and was gobsmacked. To me, Japan was nothing at all like my home country, Canada. I had never seen rice fields before, and the skyscrapers and neon lights of Tokyo, they were magnificent. However, after almost a couple decades of visiting and living in Japan, I finally went to Japan's northernmost prefecture, Hokkaido. As the plane was descending, I thought to myself, this looks a bit like Canada. I mean, Manitoba's fields are much bigger, that's where I grew up by the way, hence why I have the photographs. But in comparison to the rest of Japan, seeing big, open, flat fields like this is rare. Actually, as my wife and I were driving around Hokkaido, we kept on using the saying, Hokkaido wa Dekaido. In Japanese, Hokkaido literally means big road, while Hokkaido means northern sea road. It's just a play on words that is trying to say Hokkaido is big. Hokkaido dwarfs other Japanese prefectures in size by a lot. The next closest prefecture of Iwate is over 5 times smaller. Japan Rail, JR, actually made this neat overlay of Hokkaido that you can move around other prefectures. If you know Japan, then you'll be surprised to see that Hokkaido spans from Osaka to Tokyo. But if I move Hokkaido over to Canada, tiny. In any case, the roads were big enough over here that my wife even drove, which she refuses to do around Tokyo because the roads can get very narrow, to say the least. What we drove were 2 RVs from Hokkaido Nomad car rental, which seemed like a very Canadian, or maybe it's an American, thing to do. However, again, like the size of the fields and landmass, Canada once again outdid Japan. Whereas this compact Japanese RV sleeps 5, this compact Canadian RV, which is 1 meter longer, only sleeps 3. You can get bigger RVs in Japan, but I thought this comparison most apt. In Japan, they're used to making do with smaller spaces. That's why the 5 sleeping spaces instead of 3. But if you consider other amenities, you see the difference in lifestyle. One thing the Japanese RV had was a non-flush toilet. We could have used it, but since there are nice toilets at roadside stops and campsites, a flushing toilet is less of a priority. I mean, this is the washlet from the campground we stayed at. Another thing is that no matter the size of the Japanese RVs we looked at, there were no showers, whereas this was a common feature in standard-sized Canadian RVs. Why? It's probably because Japan has many sentos, or public baths. I especially like the ones that are onsens, or hot springs. Unlike Canada, Hokkaido has many volcanoes. And a quick note, yes, Canada has volcanoes, but they're not nearly as densely packed near population centers as in Hokkaido or Japan. And with volcanoes comes many hot springs. There is a stove in the RV, but we also never had a need to touch it. You'll soon see why. And thinking of food, Hokkaido has an almost identical food self-sufficiency ratio to Canada. While Hokkaido produces 185% of its caloric needs, in Canada it's 183%. These are big league numbers, as many countries nowadays are not self-sufficient at all, with Japan's rate at a dismal 37%. But again, in Hokkaido, they can almost feed themselves twice over, and trust me, they tried to do that to us while we were there. What surprised me was how much the food I ate at our farmstay was similar to what I ate in Canada. Tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, potatoes, corn. Now, this could just be because the farmer I stayed with actually lived in Canada for a year. I was asking you, how come you know English?
I was staying in Canada 30 years ago.
But if you look at the types of agricultural and livestock products of which Hokkaido produces the largest volume in Japan, you'll find a lot of similarities. Wheat, beans, potatoes, sweet corn, blood horses? Okay, so some differences. We happened to go to the kitchen garden farmstay at a great time of the year during the fall harvest in September. And did I say great? Because I meant incredible. Not only in the volume made, it was a mini Thanksgiving, minus the turkey, but the freshness. I cannot emphasize this enough. So this is fresh corn, not cooked, no salt, no butter, no pepper, nothing. It's so sweet. I can't believe this. It's like the best fresh corn I've ever had. The only fresh corn I've ever had, not cooked. Crazy. What does it taste like?
Tastes like an apple.
Although apparently, I've never had Tabor corn from Alberta.
I love corn. I can eat it all day.
So anyways, back in Hokkaido, the farmers had a greenhouse that we could harvest various produce from.
いや、結構柔らかい。うわ、ない。
穴開いちゃった。虫がガリガリガリって食っちゃった。
これはちっちゃい。
They also had fields where we had to work them old school.
しんちゃんがいっぱい拾うじゃない。やったー、じゃがいもでかいの3つ。
After that got tiring, we decided to modernize things. How much is that blue bucket?
The twice of this bucket, the price is about 600 yen for 20 kilograms. This one is going to the starch factory. I think 500 yen per 100 kilograms. It's terrible. The Japanese farm cannot make the money enough for money for life. But my daughter will be better and the people is good.
He told me that when they found out one of his daughters had a mental disability, his wife and him decided to go into farming to get the best food for her. That was 20 years ago. Now this is the morning spread. Again, it's something I can't show on video, but these were honestly the meals with the freshest produce I've ever eaten in my life. Yes, those bacon and sausages are a bit weak sauce, but look at these hash browns. I've never once seen these made in Japan, so seeing this familiar dish brought back memories of my oldest brother making this very dish for me. I was honestly nostalgic. Okay, where was I? Yes, talking about why Hokkaido is like Canada, but not. Well, the not part would be the sleeping arrangements. In this farmhouse, we slept in the loft, using futons laid out on the ground. Not everyone in Hokkaido, or Japan for that matter, sleep on the ground though. Beds do exist, as well as hammocks apparently. But before we went to bed, we did what seems a very Japanese thing to me, and played with hanabi, or fireworks. Do you want to know something funny? Oikawa-san is actually young for a Japanese farmer.
Now I am, and my wife is 58.
In Japan, 63.5% of farmers are over 65. In Canada, most farmers are no spring chickens either, with 54.5% over the age of 55. Canada has younger farmers, but the average age of both Japanese and Canadian farmers are similarly getting older. After leaving the farmstay, we decided that for lunch, we'd have ice cream. That's not a joke. We literally went to a specialty dairy producer and ate ice cream for lunch. This is partly because we knew a huge feast was coming our way for dinner, but also simply because Hokkaido is known for its dairy and its soft cream, so you need to try it while there. Hokkaido produces half of Japan's dairy. Although for some reason, Japanese cheese leaves much to be desired. My recommendation is get your soft cream in Hokkaido, but your cheese in Canada. Right now in Japan, I'm currently making do with shopping at Costco and getting Gouda from Holland. So back on the road again, I noticed some other differences. The size of vehicles. Simply compare this Japanese farmer's truck to Canadian ones. But what surprised me about Hokkaido's roads were these arrows. They mark the lanes, which I can tell you from experiencing Canadian winters would come in really handy, especially during snowstorms and at night. Something else you can't miss while driving is these collapsible barriers that protect the road from wind and snow. I think we could use this around my birthplace in Winnipeg, since we're known as the Windy City, kind of like Chicago. We Winnipeggers also think we have a snowy city, but we only get 114 centimeters a year, which is less than Toronto. However, unlike that city which shuts down and declares emergency after a few centimeters hit the ground, we just go about our day. Sorry, got distracted making fun of Toronto, a favorite Canadian pastime. However, when it comes to snow, Sapporo, Hokkaido's capital city, takes the cake with an average of 597 centimeters of snowfall a year. That's 20 feet in American. I think the reason why Winnipeggers believe we're a snowy city is because when it does snow, it's consistently cold enough that it stays. So there is some truth to that nickname of ours, Winterpeg. While cramming in a lot of talk about my hometown is fun, let's get to the camping. On our way in, we stopped by the site on a lake, and I don't know about you, but I've never seen such a staggering amount of onshore lake camping before in Canada. However, where we camped at was this glamping site. There was a single tent pitched here, but most of the spots were reserved for RVs and other more swanky abodes. I mean, there's an oil heater in here, and you have a table and all your beddings. And look at these fancy fire pits. And, well, like in Vancouver, they also have container housing. I like this massive window in the front, where you could sit down and have a nice cup of tea, coffee, or in the kids' case, hot chocolate. Whereas in Canada, it's for the homeless, in Japan, it's a luxury. Although, these modular homes in BC look nice, and they're trying to solve a complicated problem, so no disrespect. Takibi Camp provided everything related to cooking, including chopping up all the ingredients for our barbecue. Even though there was a fire pit, they also lit up a charcoal barbecue that provided nice, even heat. Although, that didn't stop the kids from causing a few flare-ups.
大丈夫だよ。これ直焼きなんでうちは。
But hey, they took charge of the barbecuing, so that was good. Honestly, the grilled vegetables and meat would have been enough food, but they also made us a pot roast chicken. And do you see this dark thing hanging over the fire pit? Yes, that's a rack of pork ribs. It was good, trust me. And because this is Japan, we of course also had a hot pail of rice at the ready. I've made videos about glamping in Japan and in Canada, and while Canada's food was great, this is bringing it to a whole other level. When the kids wanted to get even warmer than what the heat from the fire could provide, they went to the bar to play games. And when the adults wanted to shelter themselves from the cold, they sat at the bar and drank. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye. What comparisons did I miss or mess up? I look forward to your constructive comments.